Today, May 30th at the time I'm writing this, was a pretty big day for me. It's my last day of high school. Well, not really, but today was the absolute last day that seniors could come in, and it's the day that Multiverses shuts down. Which means I'm gonna have to find something new to talk about. Those will do. The gap between Undertale and Deltarune, where we just didn't have any content, felt like so long. But in reality, it was only 3 years, and it's crazy to think that Deltarune Chapter 1 came out in 2018. I was still in the 5th grade, about to graduate into middle school, and now Chapters 3 and 4 are about to come out, I think the very same day that I graduate. So it's pretty funny that such major events in my life have both been marked with the release of Deltarune. And it's also pretty weird that the feelings that I'm experiencing now are so unique because graduating from high school is such a weird thing. And what are the chances that it would fall like so close to the release of my second most anticipated game? Like, I get to say goodbye to the last 13 years of my life, then go play Deltarune, and not long after, Silksong, which I've been waiting for what feels like an eternity. Longest 6 years of my life. They showed us a trailer for it in 2019, and then 6 years passed, and most of the people who were even in the community back then are completely different people now. Because 6 years, that's kind of a lot of time. We've been living in the gap for so long, and now it's all finally over. The ways that we engage with both Hollow Knight and Undertale, or more specifically Deltarune, are going to change. I'm graduating. My entire life is going to change, and I just want to take this moment to kind of just, enjoy living in the moment, as it's such a unique period of time in my life right now. I've been waiting so long for these games to come out, to graduate, and it's all just finally here. So one last time before Deltarune comes out next week, or tomorrow at the time I'm reading the script, I want to just, kind of savor how the community is right now. Because the way we theorize and talk about this game is going to change forever, and we're not going to get this, what we have now, back. I'm not gonna be the version of me who hasn't experienced Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 and Silksong for much longer. So here are some random thoughts and predictions while I am still that version of me. Silksong is definitely a prequel. I think that's pretty well agreed on. I know it takes place in a different kingdom, but I would really like to see some returning faces other than Hornet and the Weavers, if possible. Like maybe Mila, even though that would make absolutely zero sense, or Tiso, the goat. I do wonder if there's going to be more than one ending for Silksong. I kind of hope so, or at least very few alternatives. Because my problem with the way they approach this is they claim all endings to be canon, which means we probably won't see any specific follow-ups to Hollow Knight that touch on events like, spoilers, the Hollow Goat himself being alive in the Godmaster endings, or whatever the fuck is going on in the Dream No More ending. Anyway, switching gears with Deltarune, I hope to finally get to see Papyrus in the next 2 chapters, hopefully with a different design. I think his battle body was a pretty more recent thing he took up in Undertale, and I definitely do subscribe to the theory that the Undertale versions of Sans and Papyrus are originally from Deltarune. Can't wait to learn more about that, and also Gaster, who's clearly just kind of lurking in the shadows. Dude, I already know the secret bosses are going to be fun as hell. Hope we get like another party member like Toriel, which is likely to happen. I also want to hear, like, the motif that Jevil and Spamton share. Like, I can't wait to hear that again in a completely different song. I forget what it's called. Somebody probably knows, though. I just think it's, like, a cool-sounding motif. I also like Noelle's, like, Lost Girl motif. I would like to see that again, which I already know we will. I don't want to believe that Chris is the knight. I kind of hope they're not and that these chapters will disprove that, but I won't be disappointed if not. I also can't wait to see more Dreamer family lore. That's always exciting. Maybe some new info about Azrael, or what he was like here, actually having to get to live his life instead of having it cut short. I think another big thing that I'm excited for Silksong specifically, that I don't see a lot of people call attention to, is the music. Deltarune is going to have great music too, don't get me wrong, but that's expected by now. Toby Fox is a genius and a goat at his craft, and I know lots of people are already listening to the few songs that have been revealed for the next 2 chapters, but Silksong, oh my god, Silksong. Silksong's soundtrack is going to be hype as hell, and even though it's not out yet, we should be giving more attention to just how good it's going to sound. Lace's theme is sick as hell. Christopher Larkin and co are taking the approach of using string instruments this time around, and oh my god, it's going to sound so good. I can't wait for all of YouTube to start using Silksong and Deltarune tracks at the end of videos, just like these. I do wonder what will be next for these 2 franchises. We know Deltarune is going to at least get a 5th chapter, probably more after that, maybe even in Chapter 0, who knows. But as far as what's next for Hollow Knight, it's anyone's guess. Team Cherry is probably going to make something else other than Hollow Knight after Silksong comes out. I mean, I'm sure they have to be sick of bugs at this point. I need to keep this video short to get out on time, but my point is that it'll probably be a while before we get content again after this. Definitely going to be the start of another big gap. So I think let's just take a second to just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the point in time, point in our lives we're at now, before the new content drops and changes everything. Alright, that's basically everything I want to say. Bye.